Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to create a web form that will call the predictive API we've been creating and working on this whole class, the bike buyers data here in Machine Learning Studio, and get a prediction back. And hopefully this will set you up in a way to where you can imagine or be creative to create your own web apps that can call and use these APIs we make on here. Later I'll also give you an example of how to do this with a recommendation engine prediction. Right now I have a very simple traditional predictive model. We're predicting whether or not someone will purchase a bike based on various demographic characteristics. So I'm going to assume you've gotten this far. I've got my documentation open up from clicking on my request response link there. All my information, including the API key and my post URI. Let's go to Visual Studio now, and it doesn't matter if you're an enterprise, professional, or community. These will all work. I want to go to File and create a new project. Actually, yeah, let's do a new project. Okay. I think in some versions it might say new web project or new website or something like that. Basically, I want to get to where we can create an ASP.NET web application. So core is really cool. It's not necessary for this project though. If you're already familiar pretty well with ASP.NET, you're welcome to use core if you'd rather. Most of my audience for this video are information system students that are used to ASP.NET web applications. They haven't quite gone into core yet. Anyway, I'm going to make one and call this bike buyers prediction. I'm in 4.7, but this really doesn't matter. You can put this in basically any framework that you want. That's just fine. Not going to worry about Git. Yeah, that's all we want. Let's hit OK. So for my students, let's just leave this as an empty ASP.NET web application. So MVC adds a lot of extra stuff for you, same with web forms. We're going to actually build this as a web form, but I don't want it to create all the default stuff for us. We want to keep this simple. Web form, well, let me just show you. Let's leave this, everything else as it is, hit OK. So I know you guys are used to MVC, and that's great. It's the standard architecture, but a web form is a very simple and quick way to throw up just one or two views, which is all we need to do or want to do for this practice. So what we'll get here is this, all right, empty solution over here on the right. We'll worry about putting this up on Azure here in a bit. For now, let's come over here to our solution. Let's right click and let's add a new, let's see here, come on, think. There we go. It's off your screen, you can't see it, but just up here, add a new item. Okay, so here's all of our options. Let's make a web form. Now, let's call this one something simple. We'll just leave it as default for now. Default.aspx, add. Okay. So if you've had no other programming experience outside of our information systems core that you did last year, or maybe you're in the middle of it this year, this will be a little bit new to you. So a .aspx page is nothing more than an HTML page, as you can see right here, that has some extra code in it. So in this case, it also has another file, a couple files here, what we call our code behind pages. So default.aspx, it's blank. Actually, let's just put a couple things in it really quick so you can see what I mean. Right here inside of our div, let's add a header. Let's call this my or your name, IS415 bike buyers prediction calculator. Okay, let's all right, once again, bike buyers prediction calculator. I know we don't put styles in the same file, but this is just going to be simple. I want to make a body style because I can't stand the Times New Roman. We're going to say font family Arial, font size 12px. That's good enough for now. Okay, so we got our H1. Let's save and run this. Let me move my view up so you can see a little bit better. There we go. All right, build, or just run right here. Perfect, we'll use that Google Chrome. So let this thing build out. I guess I'll pause it while it's thinking. Okay, opens up our file here. That looks just fine. I'm going to close this back out again so it stops the debugging process. Perfect. So what I want to do is let's start by simply calling the testing out the API and having it pull up on the web page, and then we'll build a form to actually have something nicer to enter our inputs into. So what I want to do is let's add, now I know you may not be familiar with this, but if you click over here on this toolbox, you have a bunch of what's called these pre-built controls. Lots of useful things. What I want you to do is add a label. So what a label is it here, notice it doesn't look like a normal HTML tag. It's an ASP semicolon or colon label. Let's call this label ID, label results. Text is going to be blank for now. A control on the server, it looks like this, but once it gets processed, this is going to turn into a span tag. So actually, no, let me put some text back in here. This is where the results will go. So build this just so you can see the way server-side code works. Just like with your MVC, there's a lot of what you see here in the code on the server side that gets processed, turned into HTML, that shows up as more traditional HTML and JavaScript on the client side. So here's that text, right-click View Page Source, and you can see that span or that label tag that we put in. Nope, that's not it. Right here, it turns into this span tag. So you're familiar from span from back in IS201. It's just a wrapper around some text, and in this case it has an ID. It's not adding any other formatting or anything else to it. Notice we also get some other stuff here. We're not going to worry about this for now, or at all really. So let's go back to, let's close this out and head back to Visual Studio. Let's go to our code behind file now. So this default.aspx.cs. This is a place where we can handle events from the page. So one page event is the page loading, and we can have that trigger or write some code that happens when the page loads. Now this is also where we'll come to write other code for other events, like when buttons are clicked and things like that. But for now, what I want to do is simply send some test data up to the server, and when the page loads, send that up there when the page loads, and then get our prediction back to see if the API is working from the web page. So go back to Postman if you still have it open from the prior video where we tested out our API, and click on code here, and notice that we've got some code that we want to copy. Now before this will work, we actually have to install the REST-sharp library. So let's do that together next. Go back to Visual Studio, and we're going to open our package manager. So go to Tools, NuGet Package Manager Console. Pull this thing up, and let me show you the documentation for REST-sharp. I'm just going to pull up a page here, REST-sharp, and this is just a library that makes it very simple and easy to call RESTful APIs. And here's some example of how to use it. If you want to download it on NuGet, they even give you the code right here for how to get it. Right here, install -package REST-sharp. That version right there sounds good. Let's copy that, and let's head back to Visual Studio. And right here, let's paste it and install REST-sharp. So we let that run. It's adding here a reference to the REST-sharp library. Beautiful, that's what we wanted. And is that all done? Yep, all done, perfect. Okay, and I think, oh, I don't want to keep that on there, just close it out, perfect. I think we're going to need up here a using REST-sharp, there it is, perfect. All right, got that added. So now we can just go back here to Postman, copy the nice code they give us, and that code is what's going to use this sample or test information here for the API. So, oops, not there. Head back here, and on page load, let's go ahead and just call it right directly in here. So what this says is create a new variable, REST client. There's our URL, beautiful. Method post, postman token, they need that. Yeah, no worries. Cache control, no. Content type, there it is. An authorization, here's our bearer and our license key right there. And then it says here's your parameters, or the body of your request. Now this is kind of a pain to have this in here like that. We should break this out and turn it into variables later on to have a bit more control, or at least not have it so messy. So notice there's, first of all, here's our headers, and now we're getting into right here our values for everything. So it's going to create a response. Let's return this response into that label. So the advantage of those controls is I can call them or access them here from this code behind page. So let's make a variable. Actually, we don't even need to make a variable. Let's just say that the label results.text equals response. That's this object right here, this iResponse that we get back after sending that body up. So this response is everything that comes back right here in REST#, all this response right here, including these headers. Here's the body of the response. This is what we're going to get back in this object right there. So a response is an iREST response. We can't set a text object equal to an iREST response. However, response does have a property, I'm sure, called something like toString. Yep, there it is. Let's try that out. So let's go ahead and run this. I'll pause while that builds. Okay, so the response.toString just gives me the name of the object. That's not exactly what we wanted. Back to Visual Studio. Scroll down. It's not response.toString. It's probably response. Oops. Oh, I got to shut down. Shut down my browser first because I'm still in debug mode. There we go. It's going to be response, probably something like .content. There it is, response.content.toString. Run that one, try that out. Oh, let me pause. Okay, here we go. We got it here on the web page. I know this text is really small. In fact, I'll make it bigger next time. But we have, it's all in one big messy JSON line here. Response, output, type table, column, scored labels, column types, double, values, right here. Here's my prediction. So now what I need to do is a bit of coding. I need to make a nice, good-looking form that allows people to put in the inputs, whatever inputs they want, and then get back a nicely formatted prediction. So the rest of this video will go through that. If you feel comfortable that you know how to do that on your own already, you're welcome just to end this video now. Otherwise, feel free to follow along with me. So let's close this. And let's go back to our page now and build out everything that we're going to need. So to remind myself, let's see. Maybe before I do that, no, let's just go back to our page. All right. So we've got our title. Here's our result. Right about here, let's go back to the toolbox. I'm going to pin this because I've got a bunch of useful stuff here. So the first thing we need, and we'll see this in our list here of variables, is marital status, gender, and then income. Okay, great. So marital status, that's going to be easiest to get with probably a radio button list, because there's only two values. We'll do married single RBL, marital status. You know what we should do is put this in a table actually to make it look nice. We rarely use tables anymore, but this would be one quick and relevant context to use one in. Although the CSS diehards would say you should never do that. Okay, drop that in there into our column. Give this a header. Marital status. So my options for this thing. Notice as I hover over this, I get this little arrow right here. I can click on it, and I can say Edit Items. add an item called married, and the value is going to equal married because that's what it's expecting in our predictive model, the text married. Add another one for single, perfect, okay. All right, enable post back. Nope, don't want to do that. What that means, enable post back, is what you just saw right here a second ago. That means that when someone changes it, it'll automatically submit the page. We don't want to worry about that. Married, single, that'll work. Next row, I just got to go through and do this for each of them. So if you want to pause the video and do this on your own or leave this playing, that's just fine, but I'm just going to start building away right here. So I'm just going to keep going in order, not that it matters. Income, children, cars. So nice thing about those, to validate the input, let's see, they all need to be positive, but you know, I'm just going to keep it simple and do text boxes. Okay, income, if you just want to make it a text box, I'm going to type into right here, grab text box. Children, oh, we could make it a drop down, I guess. Let's do that just so I can show you something different. Here's a drop down control. Pop that in. Trying to hover over to where I get this little thing right here. Edit items. You know, we don't need 10. There's no 10s in the data sets. Let's do this. Let's leave it at, let's go to 4, 5, 6 plus. Oh, but we can't do that. So what we need to do is change value to say 6, but text 6 plus. So what that does, just makes it now so on all these, actually, we're going to want the value now too, because we're going to be grabbing not the text of them, but the value of them. These up here, I'm not making a value version because the value would be the same as male, female. Down here, I need to do that because this one with a plus sign, that'll create a problem. So let's just change these. Okay. Education, occupation, homeowner. Okay. Oh, cars. And you could put a required field validator on this control to make sure that it's numeric. Same thing with cars. I'm not going to worry about that for now, though. All right, I'm going to pause it while I make the rest of these because I think you've got the idea. Okay, I've got all my form fields the way I want them. Let's double check and see how it looks here on a page. I'm going to hit run, I'll pause this. Okay, everything's showing up. It's not the prettiest, but it works. That's good enough, so let's close this down. Next, I need a nice submit button. I'm going to put anything in that column. In the second one, I'll put a button. So I've got a regular button, and this looks like any old form control button, or I can do a link button. I kind of like the link buttons better. So this one just looks like a link, but it actually submits the form. So I'm going to call this LB predict, and then I'm going to show some text, kind of like a link, predict. Okay, back here on, oh, nope, I want to go to this split view right here. What this lets me do is see my code at the same time here as my form. What I want to do now is double click. Actually, I think I want my span label up here in the table too. I guess it doesn't matter too much. So right here, double click on this predict, and what it does is it automatically generates for you the event handler over here in the code behind page in default.aspx.cs. So here's our protected void link button predict underscore click, and it will handle the sender, which is that button. What I want to do now is move this code down here. So now the event is not the page loading, it's the button being clicked. And I want to add the parameters from the web page instead of having them hard-coded right in here. So to keep it simple, it's going to be messy. I'm going to do it all here on one line though. You don't have to do it on one line. I'm going to come down here to where my values start. Okay, value married. So this slash is an escape character because married needs to have double quotes around it. So what we're going to do is right here, oops, no, not right there. Select the word married. Now, we are going to try this out first to make sure that it works. I believe what I want to do is double quote here, plus, plus. And then in the middle, put, I think it's a radio button list, RBL marital status, dot, not dot toString, it's dot selected, not the value, it's the item. Selected item dot text. Let's see if it likes that. It does. Okay, so this then should automatically put the text of whatever item they've selected back here on marital status right here, married or single. And now we're dynamically setting that up. However, I just want to check and make sure I think that is all right. That's all I got to do. So I just got to come here through each of these and do the same thing. Remember to grab just the value, two double quotes. So what this is I have, this is a double quote that's going to go into the body of the JSON that gets sent up. This is the double quote that's ending that string so that I can then concatenate right here in the radio button list gender.selected item.text, and then concatenate back onto this, and then this is the double quote that starts back up the string data, and then here's the escape character, which means include this double quote in the actual body of the text. It's not ending this string, it's just a double quote that's being included. So go through, and maybe what you can do is even just copy that right there, including one double quote on each side, and go through, and let's put this in everywhere. So the next one is income. Now income was a text box, I think. Text, income, yep. Dot text. To, this must have been, oh, I forget, I better go back here and check what comes after income. Children, so go back there and paste that, and this is now RBL. No, I think this was DDL. Yep, children, that was a drop-down list. dot selected item. Now here is different. Remember with children we had to have we had to do that 6+ thing. No, not here. Right here. So I want to select the value here, not the actual item. That's what I mean by that, because 6+ is a string, whereas 6 is an integer. So not selected item, give me selected value. Oh, come on. Yeah. To deal children dot selected. There it is. Value dot. Oh, I don't need dot string on that one. Dot selected value. Perfect. Next one is, I think after children is cars. So double check. Yep, cars then age. All right, cars. This one's going to be, I think we made that one a text box. Yep, text cars. Text. Text age. Dot text. Which means this one has to be text. Wait, I've already done cars, age, and income. What's next? Dang it, I've forgotten. Cars. Oh no, I did cars, age, and. So purchase bike numeric, I've got to send up. Oh, that's at 0 for purchase bike numeric. I'll actually leave that one the way I had it then, because it doesn't matter what we send up for purchase bike numeric. Whoops, redo that part. There. So this 0 I'm going to leave as is. We'll always send up a 0 for purchase bike numeric. All right, so graduate, this must be RBL. Education, come on. Dot selected item. RBL. Occupation. This must be homeowner. Obviously. Commute distance. And region. Okay. So now I'm sending only what goes into the form field instead of hard-coded same values every time. And it's going to happen when I click the button, and it'll bring it back to that span tag or that label. So let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. I'll pause this. All right, here's our form. Let's give it a shot. Married, female, income, 100,000, children, cars, age, randomly select a few values, North America, predict. Scroll down, here we go. Here's our output. Let me, oh yeah, I forgot I was going to make this text bigger. Let me make that bigger, and now what we got to do is clean up this output down here. All right, no problem. So besides the bigger text, how should we clean up the output exactly? Let's head back to Visual Studio. Let's close or stop this project here. Click here on the label. We can get rid of that text, by the way. Check over here. You'll see this properties window. We can delete the text out of there. Also here in the font, we can give it a size property, make that larger. And Newtonsoft. That's the kind of the de facto package that everybody uses. Let's search here in the package manager console, NuGet, and let's see here. Right, 1 second. Okay, a quick way to do this: go to right-click on References over here, click Manage NuGet Packages, and I think we can just search for it right here because I don't remember exactly. try searching for Newton soft .json. No? JSON? Oh, yeah, not install to browse. All right, here we go. There's tons of these. Let's go search for Newton soft. Okay, here we go. I think it's this one right here that we want. Yeah, 158 million downloads. That's the one. Grab this one. Let's install. Perfect. Yeah. I don't need to show that again. Hit OK. Cool. Got that installing. All right. Wonderful. Let's get rid of that. Get that out of the way. Get this out of the way now too. Back to here. And oops. All right. Here we go. And let's say using Newtonsoft and JSON, and I think we need to make life a little bit easier. We'll go without a link right there. So I've used this a long time ago. It's been a while, but it's probably the most common one for parsing JSON and C#. So here's what we're going to do. Let's comment that one out. What we want instead is to first convert our response here that we get back, that big ugly multi-layered array, and let's make a variable results equal to, we're going to call it, it's a J, I think object. Yeah, let's do J object dot parse. Yep, perfect. Let's say we want to parse that response. This is the object from right here, but response dot content in particular, kind of like we had to do response dot content to get that string. And let's end that line. So now we got results. Let's say string. Let's make a string called prediction, and let's set that equal to results. Now, this gets kind of complicated. So let me show you what I mean here. Results, open, close, double quote. The first element in that nasty-looking array, which is I think well, first of all, let me show you. Let me comment this out and uncomment this so you can see what this array looks like. In fact, let's go copy. That'll make life a lot easier. So let's run this again real quick. You're welcome to just watch me do this part if you'd rather not have to do every little thing I'm doing. I think you can get it without having to copy this. All right, turn on. Here we go. Let's just check any boxes. 2, 2, 2, 2. I just need to get a result set back. Predict. Oh, how come that text didn't get bigger? All right, anyway, here's our output that we got. This is the big ugly JSON mess. I'm going to copy this for our reference to make life a little bit easier. Let's come back here, and I'm going to recomment that out, uncomment that again, and I'm going to put this right here so we can see what we're up against. Okay, so what this JObject does, first of all, turns this big mess into an object that it can work with, basically this one of these Newtonsoft JSON link arrays or whatever. So results, now we can refer to each of these levels by name in here. So see how results, the value for results is all of that nasty thing right to there. Then inside of results is two things, type with the value of table and value with the value of all of these things. Then inside of value, we don't want column names, we don't want column types, we want values, and that's going to return back this big nasty object right here. Then we're going to have to trim off those brackets and the double quotes. So what we do is we reference, first of all, the first level. Don't confuse this lowercase results that I named this variable as with the first value in that JObject. So I have to say results, do I need .toString? Maybe I do. Let me show you what this does first of all so you can get what I'm about to do next. Oh, but before I can run it, I actually need to do something with prediction. Let's now say label results.text, no, not template control. Text equals this prediction string we're working on. Oh, come on. Okay, cool. Let's run this now so you can see what's going on. Okay. Predict. Okay, here we go. So what it gave us back now is a slightly not quite as long big ugly string, because we've gone one level deep into that big JSON object. So let me show you what we just printed out the second time. It's this right here. It's just like we had before, but now I'm starting at output instead of at results. So we're kind of nesting ourselves deeper and deeper into that big messy JSON object. So the way we get all the way to the bottom is we say, okay, after results comes output 1. That takes us to the next level. After output 1 comes, let's see, we don't want, there's two objects inside of output 1. There's type and there's value. You see table is the value of type, and this nested array is the value of this value object. So we want to go into the value side. Then inside of value, we don't want column names, we don't want column types, we want the values object, and it's case sensitive, so make sure you always use the proper capitalization. We want the values object, which will give us this thing right here. So value, values, and let's run that so you can see what I mean. I don't think we need all that anymore. I'll wait for this to start. Okay, here we go. Let's put in a prediction. Okay, so now we're all the way down to the value. Now I just got to trim off those brackets, the quotes, convert that to a %, give it a decimal sign. So we're almost there. Let's see here. So let's take prediction, and let's say prediction equals itself dot. There's probably a more elegant way to do this. This is just the first thing that comes to my mind. Let's replace the left bracket with nothing. Dot replace the right bracket, whoops, with nothing. Dot replace both double quotes. So the way I put a double quote inside of double quotes is with an escape backslash. Then I can do a double quote. So that means replace double quote with nothing right there. Okay, so that should give us just the number back. Let me pause it and show you. All right, there we go. Here's my prediction. So now you can see I've got rid of the brackets and the double quotes. Last thing, let's format this thing as a %. Make it bigger, bolder, add some space below it, and we'll call it good. So let's do this final string formatting here on this line. Let's convert dot to decimal the prediction string. So this will turn that string into a decimal. Dot, then convert that back to a string in this format. I had to look this up for reference. I didn't remember this off the top of my head. 0 dot pound, and then a % sign. So that'll give us back 2 decimal places of a %. The 0 here means that if there's a 0 there, keep it. Don't get rid of it. I think that will do it. Let's go ahead and add a couple of spaces after this thing. I'm just going to come down here. I'll do that in the HTML. Whoops, no. Add. Let's put a couple of line breaks. BR. Come on. BR. Oh, it thinks I'm doing XHTML, which I'm not. But fine for consistency. Shouldn't need those anymore in HTML5. And why isn't it making that big? It should. Font size larger. You know what? We'll take that off and let's just stick a whole H2 around this thing. It's probably not the most elegant way to do it either, but you know what? That'll work. Okay, final product. Here we go. I'll pause. Okay, here we go. Married. female 22, high school, predict. Okay, there we go, 16.18%. Guess I could have formatted that even more and put it in like a sentence or something. There is a 16.18% chance this person would purchase a bike or something like that. Anyway, this demo is just to show you how to call an API from Webpage, build your own web form. In future videos, I'll go over how to automatically call an API to dynamically retrain your prediction in Azure ML Studio as you collect more data in your database. But that's it for now.